Hello and welcome to 30 days of PM series that we're doing. Today, our topic of discussion is growth loops. As a product manager, when you're building products, a lot of the times you have to keep in mind who the end user is, what's the persona of this user, and why do they come to your platform, and why should they to begin with. So, if you are building any sort of product, you need to essentially go over the approach of why you're building the product and all of that process that we have covered in our previous editions of the 30 days of PM series. We are at day 29, almost towards the end. So if you want to know about that, go through our previous videos which talk about how to build products and how to build features. But now all that we understand what we are trying to build, we also have to keep in mind that these features or these areas of product that we are building and building enhancements towards have a growth loop within them, right? So anytime when building a product, you want your users to come back and use this product on a very regular frequency. uh, Example could be a news application, right? There's a core use case for you to be updated with what's going on in the world, and you have the growth loop right there, which is inherent, where customers can come to the platform, refresh and get the latest updates and the latest news in town, right? Similarly, you want to build growth loops that allow customers to keep coming back to your platform. So in simple words, these growth loops are essentially a flywheel, is also what you can call them, where customers keep coming back to the tool and keep using it for extended period of time. A normal structure of a growth loop is it starts in three ways. It's circular in design, and essentially, whenever a new user arrives, they provide some input to the platform or to the product. They are greeted with an action or step that gets completed, leveraging the product, and then they get the results as an output. And this keeps happening and keeps looping around, where the user provides an input, the platform or the product does some action, provides some value, and then the output is presented to the user. So this is a simple example of a growth loop. Similarly, if we were to take the example of Pinterest and how the growth loop there works, we follow the similar process, right? Where to begin with, you have new or returning users who are getting onto Pinterest looking for inspiration, and you activate them with content. This content is specifically relevant to the user and their requirements. The user can search for specific inspirations or be automatically recommended by the algorithm based on their feed and their usage patterns. Then users have the ability to save, pin, or create their own Pinterest boards that they can leverage later for inspiration and other details. And this way, based on the searches and the saves being done, you automatically try to improve your underlying algorithm to improve and provide the best results for the user. So every time a user comes back to Pinterest and searches for something, it learns as well from what the user is searching and tries to build patterns, allowing users to get to the results they're looking for much faster and much quicker. So that's essentially what growth loops are. This was an example of Pinterest. We also have multiple other large companies and large softwares which have their own growth loops. For example, we have examples here of very huge organizations that do billions of dollars in revenue when it comes to Walmart, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. Let's take Google for example, right? On the bottom right, you see Google tries to have an advantage to get more to users in very less amount being spent. Almost all of their features are free to begin with, and then you can add additional subscriptions when you want to add more storage in case of Google Drive, Google Photos, and want to also run your organization using the Google Workspace and Google Suite of products using the Workplace product. So they have they have it essentially their moat when it comes to technology and the scalability that they can afford and live with and provide users with better experiences. What better experiences and better search performance does is bring in more users, and where they in order, because the bread and butter of Google is search, that's the area that generates the most amount of revenue for them. You can associate your Google search results with brand, with AdWords, and run ads in them, and lower the cost of searching and provide higher frequency of usage, where with ads and with other results that you provide based on your technical prowess, get users to what they want to as quick as possible. That sort of is taking shape as we speak with different models. Now we have agents and LLMs that can do a lot of the searching for you and provide you better results, but that's still in the airs and still being worked on. I also found a video from one of the podcasts that I listen to where Jamaat is essentially talking about the Google and the Microsofts and how their flywheels work, generating free cash flow and billions of dollars of revenue. So let's take a look at this.
There is no better business in the world than Google. Single-handedly, par excellence, the most incredible money-making machine that's ever been created. And a close second, as it turns out, is Microsoft.
Unbelievable. I mean,
which is now the most valuable company in the world, greater than Apple.
Well, and Friedberg's been saying this on the podcast forever, but just to give people an idea, Q3 revenue at Google was up 41% year over year to $65 billion in a quarter.
And by the way, that is high margin.
High margin.
The incremental revenue on the core Google products operated at an incremental 50% EBITDA margin.
Sick.
And they just adjusted their CapEx depreciation amortization schedule because they realized that their computers that they use in their data centers last 4 years instead of 3, and the networking equipment lasts 5 years instead of 3. So they're like, and I've been saying this since the beginning because I worked at Google, and Urs is still there, and he runs all the data centers and the networking infrastructure. When I worked at Google, there was this amazing project where we built a 10,000, I mean, we didn't build it, they built it, a 10,000 port switch called Firehose, which helped increase the throughput of the data centers and had these massively parallelized indexing and production servers. And there was so much investment made from the beginning in building the infrastructure stack. The flywheel continues to spin faster and faster and faster. And here they are building their own servers, building their own racks, their own data centers. Literally they have their own fiber across the oceans. Literally the most vertically integrated business in history, with a moat that no one will ever be able to catch up on. And I read all these nonsense comments on the internet about people being like, why doesn't someone else go after search? It's so crazy to me. People fail to recognize that what we see is the tip of the iceberg at Google. And this flywheel is built by layers and layers of monopolistic, in a good way, monopolistic technical advantages that they've built into this business over the period of the past 2 decades. And it is extraordinary beyond anything we've ever seen in human history how well this commercial enterprise is run. And the reinvestment of capital has been extraordinary. If you look at YouTube in the quarter.
So this is what we're talking about when it comes to growth loops. You have companies like Google and Microsoft investing large chunks of their money and revenue generated into getting more users to their platform. Starting with search, everyone starts with the Google as their search engine, and from there on they can push users. When it comes to looking at video tutorials, go to YouTube. When it comes to looking at images, go to Google Images, Google Lens. You have all these other platforms that Google has built that sort of complement each other's ability and scale further. And every time, this is how the Google flywheel works, where you can, as David was talking about, it starts with just search, goes to YouTube, and all the profit generated because they own the stack from the beginning till the end. And that's how these flywheels run. So this is about growth loops. Whenever you are trying to build a product, always keep in mind what would make the user come back and what sort of actions can a user take within the platform that makes them come back ever so often. So that's about Google flywheels and how growth loops work in general, and how they sort of relate to each other and provide value to one another within the products and the product offerings in this case. So I'll link all the resources in the description. Hope you learned something about growth loops and the art of product management. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.